What are you doing?
Well, I'm trying to put a pretty sticker on my card to Senator Abel Maldonado, asking him to support the repeal of support marriage equality, basically. I hope he'll realize that there are enough people here that think that marriage equality is a right of all people. And I, even mention here that I'm celebrating Valentine's Day with my husband, but I still support the right of same-sex couples to marry also. Everyone has the right to find happiness however they can, and if they choose to be with a same-sex partner, I don't see how that hurts anyone else. I know same-sex couples that are wonderful parents, and I think that they have a right to marriage. I think marriage is a civil right. It's a right that all people should have, so I think I'm really hopeful that the Supreme Court of California will uphold that right and find that Prop 8 is not constitutional.
Like possibilities, and she chose the Unitarian Church. Excellent. And so the last one she had was for about 40 women on Monday night for Breakthrough 3.
Do you want to just look up and tell me who you're writing?
I am writing President Obama. Primarily, I'm actually referencing the speech that he spoke of when he said so beautifully and eloquently of the inequalities and the realities of racism in America, quite frankly, and he actually referenced the world. And for me, when I reread that speech, the parallels are eerie, and I want to remind him of the parallels of the inequalities. And so I am trying, although failing as in the eloquence, but I hope the point is made, that he gets it, that he now needs to go beyond speaking and taking it out of his own personal experience and look out and see how it applies to gays and lesbians. So that's what I'm saying.
Thank you very much.
I'm here because I believe that the fight for marriage equality is the most important civil rights fight of our time. I think for many years, like a lot of people, I was inactive. Kind of coming out of the 90s, I really wasn't very politically active at all. I was caught up in the corporate world and working, and really kind of let the essential politics kind of fall by the wayside. And I think a lot of people are waking up now and realizing, that perhaps that was a mistake. That we should have, continued to be as active and fighting as hard as we did, in the earlier years, in the 70s and the 80s. So that's why I'm here. I'm kind of picking up where I left off and kind of finishing the fight for civil equality for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered people here in the United States. I believe that basic human rights, basic civil rights are the same for everyone. The same rights that are guaranteed gay and lesbian people are the same rights that are guaranteed people of color, people of various religions, ethnic backgrounds. It is all the same. I know that some people try to make a distinction between the two, but in reality, if we let the civil rights of one group fall by the wayside, it's going to affect everyone. I think probably the most important thing is just getting out there and being visible, talking to people, being open to debate and intelligently and forcefully make your position known to people who may disagree with you, and I think that's really the only way to do it. Like I said, I think for a long time we just kind of decided that we would kind of just blend in with everyone else, and things would eventually work themselves out. And what we saw with Prop 8, I think, was a big wake-up call for a lot of people, realizing that if we aren't visible, if we aren't vocal, that our civil rights can be eroded. And that can happen to any group. It's gay and lesbian couples today. Tomorrow it could be another group. It could be women. It could be immigrant workers. It really could be any other group that could have their civil rights taken away at the ballot box. So I think that's one of the reasons why we have to remain visible and let people know that we are here and that we're their neighbors. I think most people are fair-minded and they get it. I think there's just a radical minority that really is actively fighting to take civil rights away from specific groups. And like I said, it does go beyond gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered people. It also includes other minorities. Like I said, we could actually see legislation come around that would take away civil rights of immigrant workers, for example. I could see that being a very real likelihood in the near future. Banning emergency room treatment for people who aren't citizens, that type of thing. Well, I think there is a difference between the people who are actively promoting the anti-gay agenda and the people who vote against civil equality for gay and lesbian citizens. The people who are actually contributing the funds, who are producing the TV commercials, scaring people into voting against marriage equality, using school children, things like that. There's a difference between just your average person who might be sitting on the fence, not really knowing which way they'll vote, and those people who are actually disseminating lies and propaganda. So I do believe those people are a very small minority in our society. They're not the majority of people in California, which I believe are mostly fair-minded and willing to vote for equality if they were actually given the facts and not distortions.
I hope everyone's had a chance to write their postcards or is starting to do it, and we have all the labels and everything over there. It's a great we thought it was a good synchronicity to have it be Valentine's Day and send Valentines to our representatives. Please take one or two of these home. We have lots of these fact sheets about the Defense of Marriage Act and how important it is to repeal it, and also to enact on a federal level the Employment Non-Discrimination Act. There are two different versions, so it's very important to ask our representatives to support the fully inclusive one that includes rights and protections for not only gay and lesbian people, but transgendered people as well. And then there's an ongoing campaign that I find really exciting called Tell 3, and it's sort of, the subhead is Coming Out Isn't Enough. And the idea is to tell 3 people about your experience either as a gay or lesbian person or as a straight person who has relationships with gay and lesbian and transgendered people. Well, I had one of my conversations just the other day, and it was a very exciting thing to talk to somebody that I might not otherwise have talked to about all of this. So that's my part of it, and Mickey's going to introduce the rest of our speakers.
We have several speakers who agreed to come today and who have been supportive all along, so coming today is no surprise. One of them is our Supervisor, Jane Parker. Thank you.
It's really great to be here and celebrate Valentine's Day by thanking our elected officials who are supportive of marriage equality and full civil rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, and then to encourage the ones who haven't yet stepped up to that level to do so, because there are opportunities ahead. So it's really a great way to spend Valentine's Day, and I think doing this, encouraging our friends to also send letters and postcards is a great idea, and the Tell 3 campaign I think is a really good reminder of all of the progress that we have made in the last 5 to 10 years. When we look at the public's understanding of these issues, it's moved in a very positive direction towards respect and civil rights and the kind of policies that we really know are right. And so it's just great, while we wait to see what happens with Proposition 8, to just continue the good grassroots work that is how anything ever gets done.
Our newly elected member of the Assembly, Bill Monning, agreed to be here but was called into a special emergency session where we hope he's helping to pass a state budget. So his representative, Ann, has agreed to come and speak on his behalf.
Thank you very much.
And he said to send his regrets. He was really looking forward to being here with all of you today. But as Mickey said, he's in Sacramento, and hopefully we're all hoping that they're going to pass a budget. And a quote from Bill is, he says that a healthy community is based on a core of rights and responsibilities that allow for all people to be treated as equals. And so I know a lot of you already know this about Bill because you've supported him in his campaign, but he continues to work to strike down our state's ban on same-sex marriage, and he believes that gay unions deserve the same recognition, status, and rights as those afforded traditional straight unions, and that the state should not be interfering in relationships between loving adults. And he was pleased with the May court decision that you mentioned last year, legalizing same-sex marriage in the state of California, and he urged his supporters to vote no on Prop 8. And he would be very much in support of all the work that you're doing today. We're hoping that under the Obama presidency that the Defense of Marriage Act will be overturned, and at the state level he really believes that the California Constitution calls for full respect to and a commitment to fairness and equality for all by ending discrimination against gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender individuals and couples.
We wouldn't probably have prevailed in Monterey County in defeating Proposition 8 if it weren't for our clergy. The help of our clergy was extremely valuable, especially when sometimes the Christian right acted as if they had an exclusive option to speak on behalf of religious and spiritual people. And that simply was not true. And so we have two of our very supportive clergy here today. First, the Reverend Jeff Cohn from St. James Episcopal Church in Monterey.
Thank you, Mickey. It was an honor this past fall to be involved in the No on 8 campaign, to meet so many honest and caring and loving and people with integrity. It was very inspiring. There are a lot of angles, obviously, to this issue, and I'm not an expert on most of them. But one of the areas that this does touch is the area of religion, religious freedom, and understanding of marriage within the context of religion. And again, there too, there are a variety of understandings. One of the important things for me in this past election was that I find it frightening that the law should favor one particular religious understanding of such an important institution over another. The other is because I personally feel in my own faith that the inclusion of all people into such institutions as marriage, as well as the ministry, as well as other expressions of the church and the world, is an essential part of Christian teaching. I find it to be at the heart of Jesus' own ministry. There are churches for whom certain portions, I think somewhat selective portions of the Bible, have become revelatory laws. That's not how I understand them. My understanding of marriage as a sacramental act, I'm an Episcopal priest and we look at life sacramentally. A sacrament is not something that I do or make happen by some special power or authority. It's the acknowledgement of an already existing reality. A sacrament is technically defined as an outward and visible sign of an inward and spiritual grace. And during the No on 8 campaign, I met many, many people whose lives in lesbian and gay relationships were certainly expressions of such grace. To have a religious marriage ceremony or a legal license, I think, is only a public and institutional acknowledgement of an already clearly existing reality. These people, in my mind, are married, and it is to our benefit when we acknowledge and incorporate those into our social structures and our religious communities. It is our advantage to be as inclusive of such wonderful love and commitment as these relationships express as possible. So we keep on. I don't think that you can have a vote that disallows a reality. Just like if we had a vote on the existence of gravity, I don't think it really would make much difference when I dropped my keys on the floor. And having a vote on these relationships is a vote on certain technicalities and important issues, important technicalities, important rights, but not touching the deeper realities. And I think ultimately it's the slow awareness. This is where that tell three people comes in, the slow awareness that this is in fact a part of our society. It may not have been so public in the past, it has become so, and it's our advantage to incorporate and celebrate the love that's represented in these couples. So we keep on, the courts will do their thing, the churches will do their thing, but love will have its way.
And we also have with us the Reverend Greg Ward.
It's a great honor for Unitarian Universalism to take a stance in this issue. This is an issue that we have been had strong feelings about and dedicated a lot of time and energy for the last 25 years. Unitarian Universalism is a 400-year-old religion in this country, and many of the founding fathers of this country were associated with Unitarianism. 5 of the first 9 presidents, a lot of what went into our democratic system, a lot of what went into constitutional law came from the thinking of Unitarians and Universalists. And what we've noticed, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, is that the issue of marriage equality, the issue of rights and civil liberties for gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and questioning folks has been used as a wedge issue in a lot of American politics today. And as this was occurring in the 2004 election and in the 2006 election, there was an interesting conversation that I'll tell you a story about that was happening in the office of the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. And a friend of mine happened to be in the office with him when this was happening, and he was just getting a call saying that he found out that the Christian right and the GOP were using this issue to be a wedge issue in the upcoming elections, and that the people in the press were asking him, do you stand on the side of family values or do you stand on the side of gays and lesbians? And he said that he thought about that for a long time, and he finally came to the conclusion of, I don't stand on the side of family values or stand on the side of gays and lesbians, I stand on the side of love. And the side of love in time will vindicate the efforts of both, and that gays and lesbians and family values really are all about the same thing. The GOP and the Christian right has tried to do a lot of work to subvert the efforts of high values and high ethical standards within this country by claiming that gays and lesbians don't have the right to marry, and they have been calling that family values. One of the things that I think we need to understand is that Unitarians and Universalists stand with gays and lesbians who say that their families have every bit as much value as any other family. And when we fail to recognize that, and when we write that into law, then we are oppressing unfairly one group of people in this country over any other group of people. And that is not what our Constitution was written to uphold, and that's not what we as people will stand by and put up with. One of the things that they found is that using this issue was successful in trying to create a wedge and further GOP aims. But when they came to the 2008 election, they had noticed that there was a 4-3 vote against GOP aims and bringing in a new administration, bringing in new policies, and really bringing in a new way of thinking. And one of the most telling things about that is that among young people in this country, 30 years old or less, the ratio was 2-to-1, which gives you an idea of the things to come in this country. And so I want that to give us all a little bit of heart that the rights of gays and lesbians, and really anybody who stands on the side of love, will be coming up in the future, that this is our time to really step up and make a difference. And so for Valentine's Day, I think it's great that we all commemorate this sense of love, but also find out that the next holiday that we're running into is President's Day. And that we have to be able to figure out how to join love with leadership. And that is what's going to prevail in the next years to come. And I'm really very honored and proud to be standing with a number of the people who are helping to make that happen. So thank you very much.
Liz Ward is actually planning to go to the Sacramento rally, which is taking place Monday. Maybe you could say a word about that and who's going and what it is.
Sure. I am personally going, and I've found housing with some Unitarians in Sacramento for myself and another woman, if anyone's interested in coming with me, and I can offer rides to 3 people. But it's leaving the afternoon of the 16th to go to Sacramento. We're going to meet with our legislators. We're going to discuss, our personal stories, and we're going to stand up for the friends who can't be there to fight for themselves, the loved ones that are married, have gotten married this year. We want their marriages to stand. So I'm going up because I can. I have the time, and it's really important to me. And I guess my view on this issue is that the hardest thing about freedom is allowing the other person to have his or her freedom. That's where the sacrifice of democracy comes in, and that stands just as much for religious freedom as anything else. So the most shocking moment for me during the No on 8 campaign was seeing the Yes on 8 campaign signs that said, vote for religious freedom, vote for Proposition 8. And I just had to laugh, because when you're passing a law that says that 2 people cannot enter into a religious sacrament or a civil union based on their heterosexuality or homosexuality, that is taking away freedom. So I just want to ask everyone, stand up for religious freedom. Let's vote no on the next equivalent to Proposition 8.